Hello, it's Mrs. Mills and T.S. Eliot, and we're here to talk to you about week 6, which is the primary poetry week. Now, I want to make a video solely on T.S. Eliot because the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock can get a little confusing. So I know what you're thinking. What is going on with this poem? Exactly. There is a method to Eliot's madness, and we're going to talk about that for a minute. So, all right, Eliot, inspire us. Okay. Now, I've put together a PowerPoint for you, and you need to make sure you print this out and read it, because this poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, can get a little confusing. So make sure that you read that PowerPoint. And also, again, I have my cheat sheet here. I've posted a YouTube video of T.S. Eliot reading his poem, The Love Song of Prufrock. So please make sure that you listen to that and listen to the tone as Eliot reads his own piece. There's nothing more exciting or real than a poet reading his or her own work. And that's one thing about Emily Dickinson, and we've talked about her before. She passed away before her poems were published, and it would have probably made a world of difference if Miss Dickinson had read her poetry. So there would be more insight to that. So back to the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And just a little bit on his name. Prufrock is a prude in a frock. All right? That's interesting, isn't it? Now, another thing about this poem is its simple meaning. Yes, it's very, very simple. J. Alfred Prufrock goes to a party. He stands outside the building, looks in the window, and wants to go in the party. And of course, he never does. It's as simple as that. You're like, really? So Prufrock takes us, the reader, on a journey to this party where he wants to meet a lady. He wants to have a girlfriend. And he stands outside the window, watches the party, and kind of beats himself up about his social paralysis, not being able to go into the party and conversate with women. That's the gist. That's it. How easy is that? So let's look at a few things about the poem, The Love Song. And I want you to think about that title. Is this piece a love song? Okay? Listen to Eliot read his poem, and I want you to have that in the back of your head. Another thing I want you to have in the back of your head is a personal connection. Do you know anybody who suffers from social anxiety? Or maybe doesn't like to talk to people, or maybe is shy? You can kind of put yourself or your friend's persona in that situation. You can either feel sorry for Prufrock, or you can not feel sorry for him and say, hey, bud, you need to get into that party and talk to some girls. What's your problem? So it can go either way, and that's what the discussion or the blog, the reflection's all about. If you go to your PowerPoint, the last slide, I believe, is a nice inquiry question about Prufrock's journey. Was his journey a success, or was it wasteful? And I really, 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 really want you to think about that. Again, maybe implement a personal connection. How would you feel if you were in Prufrock's shoes and you just couldn't advance and go into this party and hang out and have a good time? All right? In your book, is the poem, and I really want you to pay careful attention to the footnotes, because that's where your illusion comes into play. So let me explain that real quick. Got my board. There's a couple things I want you to know for the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And as you've read, it's a chaotic, broken, fragmented, it's pretty much a hot mess of a poem. If you go back and read Robert Frost, his poems are much more constructed and organized and simple. But this poem about Prufrock is exactly what I just said. It's about Prufrock. So you look at this blue line right here. The poem is broken and chaotic, like J. Alfred Prufrock and his personality, which deals with social paralysis and the dysfunction of not pressing on to the party. You're also going to look at, here in the orange, you're also going to look at the literary element of allusion. Now, it's not illusion like a magic trick like Chris Angel or David Blaine. This is allusion, A-L-L. And that is a literary term meaning a reference. And I really need you to go in this week's folder and print out that allusion worksheet that I gave you. And as you read and as you listen to T.S. Eliot read his poem, think of the literary references, the allusions. Eliot alludes to different people and things. So let's look at one for example. If you go back to page 675 in your book, there's two allusions. And this is where your footnotes come in handy. Your endnotes or your footnotes. Remember, footnotes are at the bottom of the page, just like your foot is at the bottom of your body. That was fun. Okay. There are two literary allusions on this page. One one deals with Lazarus. I am Lazarus, come from the dead. So Eliot is alluding to Lazarus. And there's also one down the page. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. So, as you can see on your worksheet, Eliot alludes to Lazarus coming back from the dead in the Bible. That's a biblical allusion. And he also references Shakespeare with Prince Hamlet. And you can read more about that on your endnotes. There's also another popular allusion. If you go to page 673, the beginning, the big allusion is Michelangelo. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. That's a historical reference, okay? And that is referencing Michelangelo, the epitome of man. Now, Prufrock is not the epitome of man, so he kind of compares himself to Michelangelo, where there is no comparison in his opinion. He's thinking, oh, the women want Michelangelo because he's a stud. Nobody wants me. Boo-hoo. Tear, tear, tear. All right. And that leads us to emasculation. All right. Prufrock is constantly emasculated in this piece. Let's do a little Latin lesson. Look at your root or your prefix here of E. E in the Latin language, E or X, EX, means out, like the word exit. You go out the door. You exit a building. Emasculation means Prufrock is losing his masculinity. He's balding. He doesn't think he's good enough. He's compared to a cat. He has threadbare clothes. He cannot compete with Michelangelo. So think of a hot A-list celebrity of today, maybe like Hugh Jackman or Bradley Cooper or Brad Pitt. They are the Michelangelos, and Prufrock cannot compare to them. So he's losing his emasculation. He doesn't think he's good enough for these women. Keep that in mind. Again, also keep in mind that Prufrock cannot advance to the party. He suffers from social paralysis. And when you do your blog, maybe implement a personal connection. Do you feel sorry for him? Or do you not feel sorry for him? All right. Also, there's 3 animal references: an insect, a crab, and a cat. And those aren't very popular animals either. And they kind of aid into the fall or the social death of T.S. Eliot's character of Prufrock. So, I hope you enjoyed this poem, and I hope this video gave you a little bit more insight to this. And please read all of the information and the videos pertaining to Prufrock. Have a great day!